Hear me?
Danny, loud and clear. Ladies and gentlemen, we got Danny Thompson in the building, the one and only.
How you doing,
world famous?
No, far from it. How you doing, fellas? How you doing? How you doing as always?
Doing fine.
Ted's a pleasure, my friend.
Man, I'm trying to get Mike. Hold on. Let me just get Mike in here. All right, I got Mike Patton. Trying to get him on the screen. I'm going to pull myself down and just waiting on Mike to get in here, and want to talk real quick about the Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. We got Mike Patton in the house. We got Danny Thompson in the house. We got True Armor in the house. We got Information Man also in the house on tonight's show. We got Bobby. Bobby's also in the building. Guys, just want your thoughts on Sunday. Expectations, predictions. Is it going to be a good game? Is it going to be competitive? Is it going to be a blowout? Is it going to be one of? I mean, I don't want to say. I won't say it. I was going to say 28-3.
Oh boy!
But Danny, I love you, right?
Just stab Danny right in the heart. Why don't you?
But
I ain't been on the show 35 seconds before we make a Falcons joke on here.
But
oh boy,
what's your thoughts on this Sunday Super Bowl 55?
Go ahead, Mike. I'll let you lead off.
Oh, okay, all right. Basically, it's not going to come down to both offenses. We know both offenses are going to put up points. They're going to make some things happen. It's going to come down to the defenses and who can make the most stops. And honestly, I don't know if I believe in the Kansas City Chiefs defense over the Tampa Bay defense. So I'm starting to try to lean towards Tampa Bay as it goes towards the Super Bowl Sunday. It's going to come down to the defenses, not the offenses, though.
I think from my perspective, I kind of disagree with Mike on this one. I think that there's something about the Kansas City Chiefs. Every time you put the Chiefs in the corner, they always rise to the occasion, especially the defense. Every time we downplay how good their defense is. They're not a top 5, top 10 defense in the league, but they always seem to step up when the moment comes. We saw last year in the Super Bowl against the 49ers. The Niners dominated, but the Chiefs defense in the fourth quarter did what it needed to do. And I think on Sunday it's the same way. Both teams can score points. I think it's going to be the difference in this game on Sunday is I think Tyrann Mathieu will make more plays in the secondary than the Buccaneers secondary does. And I think Chris Jones gets the quarterback. And I just think that Patrick Mahomes will now take the GOAT mantle away from Tom Brady at this point because one GOAT goes off in the sunset and the new GOAT will now rise. And I think it's Patrick Mahomes.
Mm-hmm. Danny, question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Did you forget that the most impactful rookie on defense is playing for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he single-handedly flipped the game when they were playing against the New Orleans Saints? Mr. Antoine Winfield Jr. He will be playing this game.
I did. He'll be completely 100% healthy. But there's one thing. Patrick Mahomes seems to have the only thing that only can hurt Patrick Mahomes is him running scrambles on quarterback sneaks when in uncalled for situations. There's not going to be a quarterback sneak on Sunday, an uncalled for situation. What we saw in the first game was Tyreek Hill get open in the first quarter and just burning secondary members everywhere. I think he still has scorch marks on that field that they'll be playing on Sunday. Kansas City has the 4x100 United States track team at wide receivers. All of them are. That's where they are. And when you have a quarterback that impacts the game the same way Steph Curry impacted the NBA 3 years ago, this is before Kevin Durant, how Curry influenced the entire game, Patrick Mahomes does the same thing for the Kansas City Chiefs as Curry did for the Warriors pre-KD. The only difference is that Mahomes wins and performs when it matters, unlike Steph Curry, who let Andre Iguodala win the Finals MVP. All I'm saying is this: when it comes to Mahomes, he's going to make plays. You're going to see Travis Kelce, and I think there's going to be a different receiver. We all know about Tyreek Hill, but I think this is the game where Hardiman, makes a big play, or it could be Sammy Watkins. Somebody's going to make a play other than Tyreek Hill and Tyrese Kelsey. And I got the Chiefs 31-24. It's going to be a high scoring game, and Tom Brady can't win in his home stadium. There's no way. There's no way this man wins Super Bowl in his home stadium. I got Chiefs.
You sure about that? You said they also said that a team couldn't go to the Super Bowl playing in their home stadium too. It happened. So
I blame
wouldn't
COVID.
necessarily bet against old man Brady.
I blame COVID.
But what I will say also is a guy that nobody's talking about that I'm not sure whether Antonio Brown's going to play, but looking at the team, Scotty Miller. Scotty Miller is a guy you can throw in the slot and can make some things happen too, and he could hurt Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, you got Breland out there playing defensive
You have
back,
to speak
but
a little
on the other
louder.
side- Can you hear me now? A little better.
It's
Hold on,
slightly
let me check
muffled, Mike. Just slightly.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's much better.
Better?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I had my Bluetooth on, but I'll take it off. As far as the Kansas City Chiefs, you have Breland on one side. You have Breland on one side. You have who else on the other side? I can't really name that person. Also, you got Scotty Miller that you put in the slot. Tony Brown, you're not sure if he's going to play or not. I mean, they've got weapons all over the place. I'm not sure Kansas City has enough to keep them at bay the entire time. And if you got to put quarterback versus quarterback, you got Mahomes over there, of course, obviously. But you still do have that man Brady on the other side. Depends on who can bring more pressure. And for the Kansas City Chiefs, you have Chris Jones that can bring pressure. But who else do you have that can really bring pressure? Frank Clark has been missing in action all season. The best bet for the Kansas City Chiefs to win this game is Chris Jones brings pressure up the middle. If he's not able to do that, then it's lights, camera, action, and Tampa Bay Bucks are going to be lighting up the scoreboard. I got the Tampa Bay Bucks winning by 3 points. Of course, probably going to go over this again on my show this week, which I'm going to do a Super Bowl Sunday show. Just letting y'all know. So, yeah, but I would say I got the Bucks by 3.
I got a follow up to you, Mike. Does Brady call it a day after this? If he gets number 7?
Honestly, I think there's a good chance he might. I think there's a good chance of retirement on both sides, to be honest. If the Kansas City Chiefs win, I've got the ultimate okie doke happening. That would be Andy Reid retiring and Eric Bieniemy becoming the head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, I said it. So that's what I think is going to happen if the Kansas City Chiefs win. If the Tampa Bay Bucks win, I think Tom Brady retires and they're looking for another quarterback. But they have that Super Bowl win.
Yeah, I got Bannerman chiming in, and he said, "Thanks for the invite, Ted." Patrick, watching the game on the big screen. He's got Brady and Tampa winning by 10 points. What's the spread right now? Is it still 3.5?
10 points.
3.5. It's still 3.5.
Still 3.5.
There's no way Brady. There's no way unless Chad Henne comes in the game. There's no way Kansas City gets beaten by 10 points. To Mike's point, I think this is Brady's last game, regardless. I think win or lose, come Monday morning, if Tom says anything about playing again, Giselle comes with divorce papers. That's all I'm saying. She puts the trump card and goes for the divorce papers. I don't think she wanted to go to Tampa. I think she wanted Tom to retire, and become a family man after all this time. She.
Or do you think she wanted to stay in? What is it? Maine? What the hell? Where's the?
I think she's wanted Tom to be home. I think ever since the duration of the marriage, you have to think she had the kids. She was a model, so she kind of gave up her career.
She was a German model. She's out of Germany. Anywhere better than there. She's living in America or Paris or Rome.
Listen, she's
living in America. She gets to choose between living in cold ass Boston. Excuse me, Bostonites. Or living in sunny Florida. I'm thinking she's going for the giant house in the pool in Florida versus the Parker and the high walls in Boston.
All I know is Giselle was worth $100 million before they got married, so she's not lacking for money in the situation. So,
That has
I
nothing
mean,
to do with it.
listen, I think after a while, when you gave up being a supermodel for Victoria's Secret and having all that access and all that money, all the stuff she did as a model, and she had the kids, I think she's like, I did my part for the last 10 plus years. You have been doing everything you need to do. It's time for you to come
All
home.
right. Well, I don't know about that. That's not.
He's actually talked already this week about playing till he's 45. So you
Yeah,
might be
that's what I
wrong.
keep hearing. So
Hey, listen, he can do that all you want to, but I'm telling you, she's already threatening divorce. I know she is. She wants that man to come home. They got kids, Mike. We all got. I'm sure we all got kids in this panel. And after a certain amount of time, your wife or spouse or whatever it is, they tell you to come get your kids after a while. At least mine does.
Information man, you got a take on this?
Well, I think the brother made a good point. She came into the partnership with him with her own money. So she came into this situation kind of having her own independent thing going. But my take is that she might be more like how Joe Montana's wife was. Someone that's very supportive in him being the athlete that he wants to be. Think about it. If you're talking about her wanting him to be there for the kids, well, look how long he's already played. So, I mean, the man's playing on a whole different team and he's making it to the Super Bowl. So I almost feel like they have a relationship where she's letting him do what he wants to do until he can't do it anymore. But
Then a man just chimed in and said, "Divorce the goat."
yeah, I mean, he's been playing a long time. We haven't heard of any rumbles between him and her. So
yeah, that's why I know.
I mean,
That's why I don't know why
me,
we're talking about it.
to me, it seems like she's letting the man do his thing because you can make an argument that he probably should have retired after he won his last Super Bowl with the Patriots and walked off into the sun. If it was that bad that he needed to be home, that's just my opinion about it. But we know, women want the stability of the husband in the house with the kids. That's true. But
Right.
athletes are a different beast. You know, they're going to do what they really want to do.
I mean that's always a great point. But I mean, there were talks about that before. I think he signed in Tampa, especially with the clearing of the luxury suites and everything else. It's not a fact of living in Boston was the question. I think that she just wants, when you go through it for a long period of time, being around athletes and seeing them from a different perspective, especially spouses. Yeah, they put up with it for a very, very long time. But the one thing that is always the hardest thing to deal with is a woman that's resentful. And that stuff builds up over time. And when you're an NFL player like Tom Brady, the season doesn't end for you. And if you see his documentary special, the second the season's over, he's preparing for the next season. So there's really no off season for Tom Brady. He's always working. It's always doing something different to try to make his game better. He's 43 years old. At some point, maybe she's worried about his health. You don't know. Tom has never really had that hit, but in the NFL, it's one hit that can take you out. It's that wrong hit.
Okay, but let me put this scenario on the table. Let's say that Tom Brady wins the Super Bowl and the team that he has around him is still a viable team to come back and win again. Wouldn't that create an itch for Tom Brady because he's a competitive person?
Of course.
To say, you know what? Why should I retire when I got a good team around me that's young? I can still throw the ball. I don't feel busted up. It's almost like a boxer who doesn't know when to stop boxing.
Yeah.
Until they're punch drunk.
But you get less accurate.
Here's my thing in regards to
regards
to why he potentially will retire. Who is Tom Brady's idol?
Well, it's Joe Montana.
Joe Montana.
Exactly.
Yeah, because he's from the Bay Area. That's my team, the Niners.
Joe Montana went to the Kansas City Chiefs and took them to the AFC Championship game. Couldn't make it any further, right?
Right.
So he's bested his idol. Went to the Super Bowl. If he wins the Super Bowl, he's basically done everything and more that his idol has done. So at that point, he could be fulfilled because he's basically bested his idol. That could be another reason
But keep this in mind: the difference between Tom Brady at this stage of his career and Joe Montana. Joe Montana was busted up. Joe Montana sustained a lot of serious injuries over his career. Matter of fact, let's go back to. Do you know that the playoff game that the 49ers played in against the Giants back in the day, where I think it was who was the running back? He fumbled the ball. They were one inch or two from going to another Super Bowl. You know,
Roger Craig.
Right, Roger Craig. Joe Montana would have not been able to play in that Super Bowl because his thumb or finger got broken, or his thumb on his throwing hand. People didn't know about that one. So he wouldn't have been able to play in that Super Bowl. He has sustained so many injuries that Joe Montana could only do so much more. But when you look at Brady, let's be honest, other than the knee injury that he had that 1 year, right? He had that. How many injuries has he really sustained over the period of his career outside of that one incident where he was out?
I think I mean, in info, man, you're completely correct about that. I mean, Brady outside of it was the torn ACL in his knee that 1 year on the first pass of the season. He hasn't really had the injury history. But as we all learn with Father Time, no matter what sport, no matter how great the athlete, Father Time will always get you.
You're right.
I mean, Father Time's undefeated. He doesn't lose. So at some point, if you win Sunday, that's 7 Super Bowls. He mentioned Michael Jordan today in the pressers today, in the Super Bowl pressers, about how he idolized and looked up to Jordan. He gets 7. That means he's got one more than Jordan. Jordan had 6. Brady had 7. You talk about Montana's his idol. He also looked up to Jordan. Jordan was basically, we all consider Jordan the GOAT. A lot of people do in basketball. He's 6 for 6. He's got 6. Brady will have 7. At this point, the only thing Brady has left to play for, the only thing, if he really wants to be that egotistical, is that if he wins an 8th Super Bowl, that means he has more Super Bowls than every single player or any single franchise in the NFL's history.
That's right.
Because if he retires on Sunday, he'll have 7, and that'll tie him with the New England Patriots.
Right. Even though Tom Brady played in one of the weakest divisions in football for years, but I'll give you that. I'll give you that, brother.
Hey, I do want to jump in and give Anna Man his shine. He said, but why, if Brady wins, would you retire with those weapons? Don't see that happening. He's a competitor. Follows it up with the question I want to pose is, will Tampa put a spy on Patrick Mahomes? And if they do, who will it be?
No.
It'll have to be, if anybody is Devin White. If anybody is Devin White. But to Mike's point, if you take Devin White away from the game, White's one of their best tacklers on the field, and he's also one of their best side-to-side guys. One of the few guys that Tampa has that can actually guard Travis Kelce when Kelce is lined up in the slot or actually lined up as a tight end. So I will if Patrick Mahomes is beating me with his feet, I will let him beat me with his feet all day long. I'm not letting him beat me with his arm. If he wants to run 25 times to be Lamar Jackson and he gets 100 yards on the ground, I'll let Patrick Mahomes run 25 times all day.
Well,
he follows it up by saying one hit is the reason why Brady is playing. He said he wins, don't see him retiring, but playing in 10 Super Bowls is that crazy. And the final thing he says is Brady takes care of his body like no other, but Father Time wins out in the end. Right. So I want to give a big shout out to Bannerman, who couldn't join this panel, but he's sending in his text messages.
Well, let me ask you, gentlemen, a question here. Tom Brady, in the years that he's been playing, and I know this has been the question of, Father Time's catching up with him. Are you seeing any diminish in his skills that makes it look like he needs to set his butt down?
Yeah. So he's done a lot of, he's underthrowing and overthrowing people a lot more now. And that's what happens. Your timing begins to slip by like the, the hundredth of a millimeter, and down the field it's a little too much pressure or not enough, and you're just barely missing. I mean, you know how he used to put it like, on your numbers, and now sometimes he's overthrowing. Right. But hey, I mean, he's like you say, he's a workhorse.
Because I know that he doesn't
don't get me wrong.
Right. He doesn't look good when he's got pressure coming at him because he's not a fast guy. Right. When you collapse that pocket on him, Tom Brady doesn't look too great.
Right.
That's the book on him, but the problem is you got to be able to get to him. That's the issue. Can you get to him enough?
Right.
But right. Let me tell you one thing that actually tells you where Tom Brady has regressed in terms of his playing. You talk about his arm strength and those type of things, but the one thing that's also missing is notice that he's taken a lot of hits in his career. Even though he's had great lines, he's still taking a lot of hits because a lot of times he throws the football. You don't notice. Peyton Manning used to blink before he threw the football, or close his eyes before he threw the football. Tom Brady turns his throwing shoulder, and basically it's like he's trying to turn away from you while he's throwing the football. That tells me right there he's that Father Time is catching up because he's taking a lot of hits over his career, and he's trying to find ways to deliver the football and turn his head at the same time to not take a hit right straight up. So that tells me that Father Time was caught up with him. He never did that in the past.
Okay. Good point.
Good point. Well, gentlemen, it was a great segment. Next segment, we're gonna talk Joe Biden and stimulus. I don't know if you want to hang on for that. We're gonna take Joe Biden to task.
I mean, we got Brooklyn and the Clippers with 20 seconds left in the game, so it's a.
What's the score?
Your Nets are up by 4.
Oh, okay.
Nets
right now, is the big three playing tonight?
Yeah, all three playing tonight.
Are they outperforming? Overperforming?
Yeah. They're outperforming.
Okay.
Yep, and DeAndre Jordan has a site. So we have a DeAndre Jordan site tonight. So.
Oh my goodness. The minute they get some bigs, it's gonna be a problem. And the minute they get those bigs, that's when Bobby and I and his team start doing a Nets post game. Hopefully, the only rival, Mr. Danny Thompson's Charlotte Hornets.
Don't put me on don't put me on that bus, Ted. No.
Oh my goodness.
I'm gonna let the experts, because I was listening to True and Info talk about the everything as far as stimulus and Biden and everything else. I want to sit back and enjoy them too. So I'm going. Like I said, I'm a sports guy. I'm gonna duck myself out on this one, fellas. Like I said, Ted. The bad signal is always.
I always appreciate you, man. Much love.
Before you go, let me just let you know. Before you go, I subscribe to all of you on here.
Oh, and that's the important thing. Make sure you subscribe. I've been texting that out to subscribe to everyone that has jumped on the panel.
Yeah, I'm actually new to this particular platform. I've got a YouTube channel and I'm doing things over there. So I'm going to be using this platform and bringing my YouTube channel and all my content, because I'm a content creator on YouTube. I got 2 channels. I've been doing stuff over there for a long time, and it's great to come over here and check out this site and then meet new people. You know what I'm saying? I have to. I'm gonna have to bring you brothers on my YouTube channel. Oh yeah,
definitely. But so tell us this much: were you previously a Periscope, like a scoper, or whatever they call themselves?
I'm on Periscope, Twitter. I'm a podcaster as well.
Okay.
So sometimes when I do my shows, I bring it into Periscope, but that's been where I've been at the most. And then
that's important.
And then I use this now that I'm using this platform. This allows me to bring content into YouTube, bring YouTube over here, the whole 9 yard. But I would love to get you brothers actually on my YouTube channel itself and have discussions like this, because I like the energy and everything.
Yeah, it's a lot of positive energy. I will tell you this much. And big shout out to Bannerman, who always brings it. He's a great follow. He's always live and he's always somewhere, and something's always happening with him, whether it's 6 o'clock in the morning to 5 o'clock in the morning. He's on and he's killing it. What's important is with Haps. And thanks to Danny and thanks to Mike for joining. But Danny introduced me to this platform. A lot of good people over here, a lot of good, strong people in the community that do support each other. Yes, everyone does have different views, but that's the really strong thing about it. The tool is the tool. I like it. A lot of people now, but I'm an IT person by trade. So when I see in the upper left-hand corner where it says beta means it's not finished. Right. Beta means, hey, they're going to work on it. There's bug fixes and everything else like that. But for what the tool is, it really does its job. So like last night was the first time that I actually live streamed using my actual mobile device, because most of the time I'm on a desktop. Mm-hmm. So I'm a new live streamer, by trade. Most of us, I followed Mike's writing, and of course with Danny, with Danny's travel, with him audio podcasting, and then going to radio and going to digital. And if you catch Danny, you might catch Danny on TV if you have Fox Sports Net, or what was Fox Sports Net, which is now Bally's. You might catch him. But a lot of good people out here. The stuff that Mike does with the Titans, been following him for a minute. And
I got four coming Thursday for you.
What you got?
I got a special guest coming. I'm gonna announce it tomorrow.
I was okay. So on Saturday when we got invited to this stuff, you got invited to the Pablo one. I got invited to the Peter one, and I saw you saying I have someone special coming on the show. Mm-hmm. So, and you said like either an ex-player or an existing player or someone that might have been in the Super Bowl. I'm looking forward to hearing that announcement.
Oh, not an ex-player.
Not an ex-player.
Somebody from the 4-letter is coming to my show.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's going to be huge. And huge for the platform too. It's certain things like that. True Armor
next week.
When is that exactly? What's the exact time? And because I would like to be able to watch that, to watch it live, on the platform here.
Just follow him.
Well, no, I'm already subscribing you. But if it's somebody special coming on, then I want to make sure I pencil it in. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Because things happen in life.
It's Thursday. It's going to be at 8 p.m. Central Time. Of course, it's 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay.
Yep. And then that's what time the show comes on literally every week. It's called Touring the AFC South.
Yes.
So it's kind of like I'm jumping in the ride, and I'm just touring the cities, and we talking about different teams in different cities and things like that as well. So it'll be this week, and then next week I believe I've got another special guest, and this one's from CBS. So yeah.
Oh, this is big. They're both big. And I want to give a shout out to True Armor, who's been audio podcasting. He's been doing his stuff on YouTube. Trying to get him to come out his shell more and do his cooking show, stream it live on YouTube and Haps Live.
We should do that. Most definitely.
Got to get at it. But Mike, that's great news. Danny, as always, every night or every game night that the Hornets do have a game, Danny does a post-game show.
Yeah, so we don't have a specific time for every game because of media responsibilities with the Hornets. I always go on probably about 10 minutes after we finish up with players and coaches. I think tomorrow's game is 7:30, so I'll probably go on right around 10:30 tomorrow night. And then Ted has been poking me back and forth about it's mostly Hornets, but you go on the chat, everybody wants to talk NBA. So within the next 10 days, I'll be launching a full-fledged weekly NBA show, like Mike does. I'm bringing on special guests from around the league, either whether it be somebody that covers a team, or whether it be somebody that you don't know who's going to pop up. So that's going to be. I'm thinking Tuesday nights. It's something, like I said, that Ted has been egging me to do. Mike's been doing the same thing. Mike and I write for the 3pointconversion.com. So we're in writing chats all day long. And I kind of got inspired by watching Mike's tour of the AFC, because I'm like, if Mike's doing the AFC, someone's got to do the NBA and bring on guests too. So I got to follow Mike's footsteps, because Mike brought me here. So if it wasn't for Mike and Brian and Ashley, I wouldn't be a Haps. So those are my pioneers. So I'm following behind them. If this is football, They're the offensive lineman, and I'm just Ezekiel Elliott. They should get all the credit. So,
right.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome because with you, I mean, there was certain people that I was able to bring on. So as you can see, it just continues. Whereas with all of us working together in some way, shape, or form, you could have some type of digital impression on this network every day of the week. You know, and we're not talking about, half an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. This could be something that's like 15 minutes. I mean, Danny, your rapper show, 30 minutes, you're done. 30 minutes, you're done. So it's a lot of great things that that's happening at the network. And like I said, a lot of good people. Big shout out to Bobby Blackjack, because most of you guys don't know, or some of you know, and we don't know where Brian Waters is. Bannerman just said, "Where is Brian Waters?" But Bobby Blackjack been working on and off with him since 2013. Good man. Yeah, he lives in New Jersey. We get it, but it's okay. But other than that, like that, great convo, fellas. Salute to you guys. Are solid. Somebody. Danny, I think you may know this person on the screen. I'm putting in.
I wonder who it is.
But yeah, we got to keep the support, keep everything going, and when we do these different types of events and everything else like that, it's important that we know so we can all promote it. So I know now when I see it on Twitter, Bannerman wants to know is Brian Waters still in Buffalo?
Oh, here we go. Let that man live. Let that man live.
Let him live. Before you guys go, I want to let you know, support. I don't know if you guys can see that. Dope. Got that support. All right, here we go. Support Black businesses. It is Black History Month. Come on.
Most definitely.
Definitely. But Mike and Danny want to thank you guys. We're going to go back to talking some hardcore politics, because we were talking stimulus. We were talking vaccines. We were talking about, before Information Man jumped on, True and I were talking about the best path to getting those vaccines in arms for the people that want them. And then we also talked about for the people that didn't want them, okay. But we were saying, just to recap, we said, if the government can't mandate something, they're going to push it down to the corporations. Corporations are putting monies in dollars in our pockets. They can tighten the screws. So there's ways around this. Unless you are like an independently wealthy or independent contractor, someone's going to be dictating something to you.
Yeah, the vast majority of people work for somebody.
So let me go ahead and get my education on, fellas. It's been a pleasure. Like I said, True info. I'm following you guys on Haps. I can't wait to see you guys. Ted, as always. Mike, as always.
Thank you, fellas.
All right. Peace.
And that was our Super Bowl segment. So we got to throw a little bit of sports, education, technology. This wouldn't be Late Night Parents unless we have the great people that join the show to just talk the talk. Two things. I got two final topics. One, I'm gonna put her picture up.
I have to close that window.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh goodness!
Can you get any more reckless?
Woo!
Can someone be any more reckless? And there's certain people that say, and Precious Sherrod, thanks for the follow. Danny's a great person, and he tells me a lot of great things about you. So I'm so happy for you guys. Marjorie Taylor Greene. I mean, it's just more and more videos appear by the day more and more just content on her just wilding and being out of control.
Yeah.
I mean, moment. This is her moment?
This is her moment. She gets to be dramatic and the world's eyes are on her, but she's not going to ride this to anywhere other than out of Congress.
So is this 15 minutes of fame?
A blogger or a podcaster on some alt-right, like what's the guy who used to be on Fox News? Bill
O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly, right? Doesn't he have a podcast?
Yep.
Well, what's his name left CBS and Charlie Black? What's his name? Charlie Rose.
Charlie Rose.
He went and had a podcast for a bit.
Yeah, but it's different. No, well, those things are different. Those things are.
Congresswoman, it would be a very big deal.
No. But I'm saying that's sexual assault
with no real commitment.
But hold on one second. Sexual assault is different than you talking very loosely and crazy and threatening people and aren't those two different things?
Yeah, no, I'm saying when they throw her out of Congress,
she will
still have this, she will still have a career.
Do you think the Trump supporters, the 70 million, will rally around her, make her sort of a symbol of their movement? Because I'm reading an article.
There's enough of them to follow her and buy her newsletter and want to listen to what she has to say. Until it peters out. It's a slow burning flame, right? So it won't last forever, but she can probably ride it out for like easy the next 6 years, like maybe get elected to something else, but definitely ride a podcast for a cycle, an election cycle or two, which is at least a congressional one or one of a senatorial one, because that's the way our system works.
Well, I think the Trump supporters are not going away anytime soon. They're going to rally around her. I'm looking at a story right now in Rolling Stone where they're saying that Margie Taylor Greene becomes the new face of QAnon. Now we know what that's all that
but they're pushing that, aren't they? With a title like that.
But a lot
they're making her more important than she is.
I agree with you, sir. But this is the thing.
And that's why she'll be around for like another 2 or 3 cycles.
You're
because
right.
She's Miss QAnon now. They'll make her a thing. She'll be the boogeyman until they find somebody else and sell enough hits on websites or magazines that they still sell magazines or newspapers that they still sell those. And then it'll be somebody else. There'll be a new political darling.
I would agree with that. But there's something unique about.
By then she will have made her money selling books.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But she's essentially done.
Yeah, but let me put this on the table though. How done will she really be? Because I think she will still stay as relevant as Trump supporters stay relevant, meaning they're not going anywhere. So
no, I don't think the mass of them are going anywhere. I think she's got an expiration date on her, essentially.
Okay.
Right? It'll be somebody else in like the next few years. She's already vying for attention. This class of GOP kind of like wingnut with the woman with the brunette who wanted to carry her gun up into the.
Oh yeah.
So she essentially backed down a little bit, and now she's got this spotlight. Now she's a train just running full speed ahead, and she looks like she'll be running into McConnell. So like the other girl backed off a bit. I mean, she'll be out of Congress. The other lady may look like she may stop carrying her gun to Congress, and then it'll be somebody else. But
you're right.
All those people will still find another person to latch on to.
That's right.
Be crazy for, and then it'll be their turn to write a book. Or
because Sarah Palin, she had her time in the sun. They rallied around her, and then she's kind of figured it out. So you know what? I give you that, but I still, in the back of my mind, I still feel that this Trump supporters, because they're sort of cult-like, they love to rally around people like this woman who pushes their narratives and she's definitely pushing it. Trump won the election. She says all the right things that they want to hear. And so, yeah, she'll have her time in the sun.
Right.
But I don't know if the frenzy was as crazy about Sarah Palin as they are about folks that have been associated with Trump.
That's true.
It's a different flavor, sir.
Yeah, I'd agree.
No, I agree. I just, it's funny because yesterday she was playing the victim. Yesterday she was just like, well, I'm the problem, and it's not the politician who's been around for 30 plus years, embezzling money and,
This is the thing. Sometimes what your enemy is true about you, right? It's hard to defend the truth. She's hitting them with some of the biggest criticism of the place is a hot mess, and you've been in charge for the last 50 years. What are you talking about? They can't defend against that because it's, it's as true as like the sky is blue and the sun is hot. So they have to deal with her. They have to come at her some other way. She's unstable. She's dangerous. She's that plays out better than, we have been here a while and we don't really know what the hell we're doing. And we just keep getting richer. So,
I don't know.
It is what it is.
Do we see her stepping down? Do we see their mounting, any pressure being mounted that is going to make you think, what's his name? Leader McCarthy is going to turn around and say, okay, you got to go.
I think that she's going. I think they're going to probably try to kick her out, but I think she's going to hold court because what'll happen is that will feed the red meat to the Donald Trump frenzy out there, because that will feed into their ideology that, see, this whole thing was a setup. They're against us. And she's going to use that as her rallying cry to say, look, they're throwing me out of Congress.
I agree with that, but I don't think it matters. After January 6th, I don't think it matters. I don't think they're humoring these people anymore.
Okay.
And she's making that loose talk. Her ass will be gone, and we'll see where you land and who says what about it, and we'll jump on them as soon as they mention guns or pipe bombs or any of the other nonsense of it. I think these people have pushed their luck. After 140 years, I think they finally pushed their luck by attacking the seat of government.
Well, let me ask the question. Let me ask this question though. What you're saying is right, but look at the Republicans. They're not really they're not for impeaching Trump or trying to keep him from being able to run again. A lot of these Republicans are scared of Trump and his followers because a lot of them need those 70 million people out there to vote them in, whoever those people are in their districts. So some of the Republicans,
it makes sense.
Some of the Republicans are going to capitulate and make excuses for her behavior because they don't want any backlash on them if they are involved in booting her out. You see what I'm saying? And they already don't want to do the impeachment on Trump, even though they know that all that stuff happened. You see? So you see the hypocrisy of it all.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I wish I can come because in these discussions, the best thing about it is, and for True who knows me and Information Man, we're getting to know you. I try to come at different angles to say, okay, this is usually the angle I would take, but let me come around this way and say, okay, how do we fix this, or how does this get addressed? I don't think she does. I don't think she moves anywhere unless they've got something on her, which highly doubtful. I think she ran unopposed.
Right.
And they're not going to give away a seat with the numbers being as close as they are.
Yeah.
I don't foresee her or foresee the GOP giving up a seat.
So she would be she's a necessary evil for the GOP.
Yeah, for 2022, because what are they, less than 10 seats away?
Right.
You know, and it becomes a number game.
Is the house that close?
Yeah, it's that close.
Right. And anything can, and the next time they have the runoff again, the Democrats could lose some seats potentially.
Right. Because, it was all about, you had different, depending on where you were geographically in the United States, in California and in New York, you could say defund the police.
Right.
But if you're in the Midwest,
right.
and
that's the calculated error they made. It was
kaboom! It blows right up in your face.
Right. It was a good slogan for New York and
California
and Massachusetts in the Northeast, and then maybe LA
and out west.
But once you solidified it into an actual thing, you should have changed the slogan of it. Like my slogan, which I think is a better slogan, which is the people want #quality policing. So,
I remember
people are running on slogans and nothing gets done.
We saw from 2016 election, it was all built on sound bites and the internet and deep fakes, and people were just like, "Oh my God, did you believe? Did you hear?" And most people, I'm not going. You know what? I shouldn't say most people. Some people are choosing their candidate based on that, or like you said, they have it made up in their minds. Whereas a lot of other people would say, "Let me see what this person has to say. Let me see what they have to say. Let's see if the values align, and if they don't, then I've got to go elsewhere." Where
would a lot of other people say that though?
I would hope. I would hope that people are saying,
okay. Oh, okay. So we're hoping now. All right.
I can only speak for myself.
Because you make it sound like everybody has like the noblest reasons for voting for who they vote for, and that's the magic of it. Everybody gets to choose who. You can vote for her because she's thick as a tree and you like thick girls, right? Or you can vote for him because he's handsome and he reminds you of like your dad. Or you can vote for her because she gave a really great speech and you really liked the speech she gave that one time you heard her. Or you can vote for him because, he reminds you of you. And if you had run for something, you would have said exactly what that guy said. For whatever reason you choose to vote for somebody in this country, it's totally legitimate. You can't crash on it.
I'm not crashing on it. I'm saying maybe. Hold on. Let me jump out.
Yep.
What happened?
He had to take. I gotta stay centered in this app. This app is weird on your Apple.
No. The only thing I'm saying is I can speak for myself, and I can say, okay, I think that I would vote for this person or that person, regardless of the party, based on what are they talking about.
Right, but most people are party like relying. Most people don't know what the issues are on the ballot, and most people really don't know who the candidate is until generally, I want to say June. And some people don't know who the vice president is now.
Realistically,
they may know now because she's the first woman president. But like, I asked someone down here who the vice president was. They didn't know it was Mike Pence. Some people don't care.
ideally,
they may know who the president is and the vice president of their party, but they may not know who's running for governor or lieutenant governor, as it is in New York. Here we have what's the name of the assistant governor here? I guess he'd be called. So it's voting in America.
Part of the problem is that a lot of Americans don't have a really well-rounded political education.
Yeah,
a lot of
they used to call it social studies.
Right.
And they wiped that out.
A lot of people don't have a good grasp of understanding that all government is local first. Who are your local representatives? Because a lot of your local people are the ones that get to the Fed level. I mean, come on.
I listen, when I used to host our show on Sunday nights, I used to talk about that because I used to host it on a local station on Long Island, and I would say, "Who are your local leaders? Who's in Congress for you? Who did you put in Congress? Who can you reach out?" Because yes, the presidential election is huge. Happens every 4 years.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the things that happen locally on, Amsterdam Boulevard. Hey, I need to get that light fixed. Who do I need to speak with? Because there's robberies that are happening over there.
Well, we don't want trucks running down these side streets where the children play, and we want a speed bump. That kind of stuff. The Secretary of Treasury Transportation won't fix for you. That's the kind of stuff that you need to get on the phone and get someone down in City Hall activated to care enough to come and fix your pothole or whatever. And, that's why it's a joke in New York that, you can't get potholes fixed just because New York has become too big for that, I guess.
So, information man, I have my my nephew lives in LA County. And so I check in with him, and just because, the stuff that you see on TV is sensationalized.
Yes.
If you're watching cable news. So I'm calling him to say, hey, are you okay? What's happening down there and everything else like that. Is it as chaotic? Because I saw the woman screaming on CNN about getting her restaurant open and all of this other stuff. And this one person, and I'm not knocking her, but this one person goes on CNN and she gets, they start a GoFundMe and she makes $200,000. Like, yeah, like what's happening out there?
Well, a lot of people had this impression that when our governor put us on this quote unquote lockdown, that it was sort of like we couldn't do anything. The lockdown was just basically all businesses must close by no late than 10. They didn't want people traveling at a certain amount of late at certain time at night. And then he had this regional ban where he didn't want people, let's say, driving from Northern California down into Southern California, or people coming in, because that's during a time when they were claiming that we had some type of spike, right? What's happening is that for the most part, I go out and do whatever I want to do. I go to the store, I go to the park. I can't go to a movie because movie theaters are not open like many places. So it's not like I'm trapped in the house completely. I because of the kind of work that I do, I'm an essential worker, so I'm actually lucky that I haven't really lost income. There's something going on in California right now where they're saying that we have a variance, but it's a unique variance to California. So they're saying that California has got its own homegrown coronavirus, if you believe in that. Because I think in a lot of ways, this virus is a great excuse for the government and other people to use as a catalyst to take further rights away from us, civil liberties, scare people. Scare factor has always taken people's rights away from them. The scare factor.
Right. I agree with what you're saying. I think a couple of days ago they were talking about new what's the Patriot Act laws. So, I mean, if you're not careful, excuse me, if you're not careful, people will slide in and legislate less freedom for you under the banner of security.
Right.
So,
let me ask you two brothers a very logical question here. While corporations like Amazon are making money hand over foot, the rich are not hurting in this pandemic. While they allow the Walmarts and the Targets and the big box stores to stay open because they know that people need to buy food and all of those different things. I get that. But what they've actually done is they've actually destroyed small business. So for example, let's say we have a restaurant, a small restaurant. Okay. You're telling me that I can't control the flow of how many people I allow inside of my small restaurant. So I have to shut down while the big box stores can allow as many people in there, which you can make the argument that when you go into a store and there's lots of people inside of a Walmart, for example, that you actually are at higher risk because there's a larger volume of people in that big box store that you're able to go into versus a small businessman who has a restaurant who says, okay, I can only let 5 people in for lunch right now, or 6 people. And then I'm going to spread my tables out for social distancing, right? So don't you see there's some hypocrisy there, because it's actually hurt small business who can't operate, but the big businesses can operate all they want in the name of, well, they're serving a public need.
True. You want to take it first? Because I'll back clean up.
Okay. The larger the place, the more volume you have to spread out this germ, right? So you want to be in as big a space as possible. So box stores and those giant places, I saw that. What I don't me and Ted had this conversation. I don't understand why I know nobody likes it, but why any of these restaurants are open in the first place? People should really be doing more cooking, and what should be big is shopping and having food delivered so you can cook it yourself. But
right.
You know, let's be real. You can't shut the whole economy down, and chefs and waiters and these people need to make livings. So, I mean, I think the best you're gonna get is takeout, like pulling up and taking. Like I guess we don't know what takeout. I'm about to explain what takeout is. Like, we don't know what takeout is, but essentially that versus dining in, because if this stuff keeps getting worse, it's the less likely it will be that you will be able to dine in a restaurant. And I don't see why they're opening restaurants or not at least addressing it. Just like if this new variant is extra dangerous, extra communicable, 40% more people died, then why wouldn't they go, okay, stand 6 feet apart has now become stand 8 feet apart, 10 feet apart, right? Think that they would look at all the angles and adjust as appropriate, and they don't. It's going to stay 6 feet because, let's face it, eventually it'd be like everybody would be standing 100 feet apart. It'd get ridiculous. There's some talk of people wearing 2 masks, but you have 3 variants now, right? The Brazilian variant, the African variant, and the British variant.
Correct.
All here now on top of the original variant. So why wouldn't you change people's eating, right? The rich guys get to do what they want. We're still having people at sporting events. So at least this is important, right? Food is important.
No, yeah, food is definitely important.
Right. I mean, but they're kind of, I just think they need to be honest with people. I really do. I just don't, I mean, here's the problem, that they always act like they have a solution and they rarely ever have a solution. And under these circumstances of a global pandemic, I mean, they're not even good at finding where the solution lies, because like I said, you think that they would readdress everything they did for new variants, and they haven't.
Well, so, I've got a slightly different take, because so in last November we got hit with this, or last December when the world was hit with it, and the president was told, and there was like, no movement done. There was a lot of backpedaling, a lot of, the politics came into play. Boom. Once again, we didn't really move forward on it. We were kind of languishing, blame game, politics, everyone jumping in there, back and forth. Then we get to the point where people start to get sick. Then we start to get to the point where the hospitals start to fill up. And nothing was done, right? Okay. So the only thing you could do was you had a president, you had, 50 or so governors, and huge disagreement over hardware, over protocols and everything else like that. The only thing you could think of is if something is happening in your state or in your area is to shut it down. Unfortunately, we didn't have, and when I say we, I use that word loosely, we didn't have enough information on this, because you would think with the U.S. holding its stature that, the G8, the primary partnership of the most powerful countries in the world would be working together hand in hand on a specific solution. I go back to that word solution. Right. So with everything being very, very loosey-goosey, and with hey, let the states handle it. Hey, that's a red state. That's a blue state. Open my state. Close my state. Liberate my state.
And that's part of the problem as well, right?
If that's your root cause right there.
People wouldn't have to flee their state to try and
that's the root cause
in another state. So
that's the root cause right there.
So instead of asking why don't we have enough here, you're mad at people, your fellow citizen driving in like they need to have made some sort of appointment.
Well, no, but
it's just weird that when it all goes back, the first thing that happens is Americans are at other Americans' throat.
Well, we went back and forth.
Why isn't there enough in my own state? I shouldn't have to drive someplace. And there should be surpluses at so many places that, it should be 65.
But you're jumping too far.
So we have extras that we can give to the 55-year-olds.
But you're jumping too far ahead, because you got to get back to the problem before we even got to vaccines. Don't even get to vaccines. Stay at the point of 50 states doing it 50 different ways.
That's true too.
Hence the death of the small business.
Right.
Hence the class, when you look at the different classes and categories, and when I have, let's say I have a gun shop and I can't open it, Information Man has a pub, and you have some type of restaurant or whatever like that. You have some type of service-based business. You can't open it, but at the same time, the Walmarts, the Targets,
right,
the CVS's, and all this other stuff, and we get it. We understand what's essential or what's not essential. But when you see the liquor store open,
right,
and you say, "Wait a minute,"
well, liquor stores are essential.
Come on.
But from my perspective, living in California, that's the reason why I brought that point up originally, because that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing people in my community who have mom and pop businesses, and they could actually still stay open and manage with the COVID by letting people come in at a bit at a time and still exchange goods and services. But what's happening is they're being told, you better stay shut down, or we're going to have inspectors walking around and look at what you're doing and not doing. And then at the same time, I can go into a Trader Joe's or a Walmart, and even though they'll let us in, I can go to Walmart where there's lots of people walking around in that Walmart, because I know in the beginning they had us in line and they will let us in outside. Well, guess what's happening? Walmart's not doing that. Target's not doing it. They're just letting you go in. And I'm saying to myself, I'm actually more at risk in that scenario than I am going into a mom and pop store where they're going to say, hey, we can only let you in 2 at a time or something like that, for example. It's just, to me, it looks like they're trying to make sure that the big man is still in power. For example, when they had that CARES Act, the SBA loans, the majority of those loans were going to big business. Small businesses were having a hard time, particularly black businesses. No, I know it's not new, sir, but I'm bringing it up because it's relevant, and this is why it's
part
relevant.
of the problem.
If you
part of the problem.
It's always been thus, though.
I want you to look up an article.
They've always been shady, always got rich off information before everybody else got it. Always had the money to feed the coffers of politicians, and get their way in the sphere.
I think it's always been happening. I'm not going to disagree with that. I think this COVID situation has exposed America to everyone's eyes that were shut of the hypocrisy. If you look at an article in PBS NewsHour, it talked about how the banks and the corporations were getting trillions of dollars a day, while Canada, and I know this because I got people that I know that live in Canada that are citizens of Canada. Canada is giving their citizens $2,000 to $3,000 a month, and they suspended all bills and rent and mortgages as a moratorium. And what's happening in Canada? People are using that money and they're putting it back into the economy, and they're doing fine with it. In America, they give us a measly $600 of our own money while corporations stay strong and fit. And then everybody is making a big deal over the fact that some young guys on Reddit came together and said, you know what, let's drive up the GameStop stack. And now the big boys on Wall Street are crying, oh, this ain't right. We had to stop the exchange. It's like, to me,
$54 billion.
Right. To me, everything that you said, sir, is correct. Well, what I'm learning in this process is that we are experiencing it with our eyes wide open. And another thing that COVID is showing us, and I said this on my little podcast today when I was testing out this new system. COVID has exposed the hypocrisy of the fact that we don't have a public health care in this country. We have a for-profit system. That's why we're struggling with COVID, because one, people have bad immune systems because we're eating bad food, and two, we never have had a public health system. We call it public health, and COVID has exposed us. It's almost like having your pants down. America's pants have been brought down, and now the whole world, literally the whole world, is seeing that we're not the country that we actually have been taught to believe we are, or that we think we are. We're very vulnerable, more than we think.
You're right. I just want to run it back for a second. I want to run it back to the point of, because True and I have talked on and on and on over this past year, with the fact that you give out $600 a month. You take that $600 a month and you spread it across 11 months. At the 9-month mark, it was about $5.35 a day. I don't know anyone who could either live off of that. You can't get a lunch. You can't get a ham sandwich off of that. You got Canada and UK and Germany and other countries is saying, hey, we're going to do $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, rolling until this is over. I can see where we've adopted some policies of these other countries of saying there needs to be a moratorium for, let's say, like if you have school loans. But it should go as far as rent and mortgage should also be included, because as we see month to month, the level of evictions, when you look at, like, I've had friends. I've even traveled to San Francisco a few years ago to see Seahawks 49er game. And the amount of homelessness and information, man, you would know better because you're closer there, closer to it than us. The level of homelessness out there. And I'm like, this is what you're seeing across America.
Right. I lived in San Francisco for about over 30 years, high school, college. I was born in Baltimore. I got family back in Baltimore, but homelessness is a big time problem in San Francisco. I lived in Oakland, California for about 10 years. Homelessness, we got problems in Oakland, and let me not forget Los Angeles, California, with the Skid Row. And this is the sad part, gentlemen. A lot of those homeless people on Skid Row in LA are black men and women, but a lot of black men. And what bothers me is that some of our politicians, like a Maxine Waters, those who represent the Los Angeles area of California, they hardly ever talk about the homeless problem in Los Angeles, especially as it pertains to a lot of it being black males and black women, but particularly black males that are out there living in those conditions. Not a peep you hardly hear from them about it.
No, you won't, because you'll see them pontificating in Washington, pushing whatever agenda. I mean, because now the boogeyman is gone.
Yes.
The boogeyman is gone. So it was fashionable to sit on CNN or MSNBC and spew whatever you want to spew, that he's this, he's that, and he might have been those things. But he's gone. He's gone. And you come back to, Congress, you come back to either you're voted in every 2 years or every 6 years. Right. And then you say, what are you doing for your home state? What are you doing? What are you doing for them? Like, it's
no, but you demonize, right? So you'll go, I want something for single moms, and then the other side will go, they want to give all this stuff to welfare moms so they can lay back, So then the other side goes, well, we want guns, and the other side will go, they want 3-year-olds to have guns, and some of this stuff is just to raise money and keep the fight going, and nothing changes. So.
Well, I will say this: the level of what we saw was a half-baked plan, where some states are closed, some states are open. It was spreading like a wildfire. This one is doing campaign trips. This one is having, hey, you can wear a mask. The fact of the matter that we spent about 6 months talking about whether or not to wear a mask, and whether or not you were on either side of it, because we've seen people become demonized either way.
Right.
And that as a country, we sat there and talked about it over and over and over again. And depending on the state you're in, I'm sure we kind of smirked from time to time when we see that, that elderly person who refuses to wear a mask, and they're trying to fight their way into the big box store, and a person is shoving them, telling them to wear a mask.
But we haven't seen that since, I want to say, August, right?
Someone sent me something last week on TikTok.
Have to get fired, but it took a lot of people all through the summer of getting fired and losing their jobs, and other people getting shooting people and going to jail forever, before people finally realize, let me just wear a mask. And on top of that, I'm not really going to challenge anybody else who's not wearing a mask. You know what I mean?
I disagree, because those.
Really?
I think you conflated a couple of things. Yeah, because
I haven't heard any violence of masks lately. But go ahead.
Well, okay, violence of mass. I mean, because someone sent me something this week on TikTok. Lady was standing, and I don't know if it was staged or not, but the lady's standing outside the box store. She wants to get in, and the guy's standing there, and she pulls off her underwear and puts the underwear up to cover her face. And I was like, "What the?"
Yeah.
I said, "What am I watching here?"
Yeah, there are mental people.
I said, "Okay." So we're still at this, to the point where, and the funny thing about it is, the president knows that they are powerless to mandate that. They're powerless to mandate it. They can't mandate it. They can mandate it in federal buildings or in public transportation, Right. But if a person says, hey, you know what, I just want to walk around. I mean, if you're exercising in the park, do you need a mask? I don't know.
Yeah. Parks are public property, but they're run by city, states, or whatever municipality. So just like Biden just just had an executive order saying that if you're in like a federal building, you have to have a mask on. And that's not just like the Congress. That's, your local, about to say public library. Yeah, libraries are, there are no federal libraries. But like post office. If you're going to the post office, you have
federal building.
Federal
building. I just think anywhere you go where there's large gatherings of people, out of respect for the situation, whether you like it or not, you should wear a mask. But let me just say something here. It's true. You got federal parks, but the majority of people where I'm at in California, the majority of people when they go to a park, other than a national or federal type park, they're going to regular public parks. There's been no cases in California because a lot of people have this notion that California, as I said before, we're under some draconian law or something. I got a nice little park right in the area where I live at. I walk through that park. People walk, they take their mask off, and they do their jogging. There's nobody running around telling us in California, hey, you don't have a mask on and you're in the park. You better stop it right now. Now, if I was to go into because I love Trader Joe's, if I was to go to Trader Joe's or some store like that, they're not going to let me come in without the mask. They're going to say, sir, would you do us the favor to put your mask on? And I'll comply. You know why I'm going to comply? Because I want my goddamn groceries. And I need my groceries. So
I agree with you.
Groceries and going about my way. Because when I get out of there, I'm going to take my mask off. And when I get in my car, when I go home, when I go take my walk anyway.
But that's not everybody's, like that's common sense. That's not everybody. Right.
Well, common sense not always common, as they say, right?
Exactly. So
no, you're definitely right. One thing I have noticed is when you go to the grocery store, I remember they were very diligent about wiping off the carts and all this other stuff.
At the beginning?
I don't see that anymore.
They don't, because they're going back to their normal behaviors.
Right. I don't see that anymore. I'm like, hey, where's that person that used to be like right there? Like, hey, you want me to spray you down real quick?
Right. Not no more.
I just
we wouldn't really I don't understand why. I don't know if it's American arrogance or our ideology that we're better than everybody, but I don't understand why the United States can't take a page from what other countries have done that have had some success. The main success is what you've been saying on this program tonight. We never had a national program to deal with it. We got every state doing their own thing based on their political ideologies.
Right.
But if we had at least looked at what other countries were doing and adapted some of it, we would actually be better off than we are right now. And that's why other countries, and I'm about to play this for you, gentlemen. That's why other countries, that's why other countries are laughing at us. That's why other countries are laughing at us just like that.
Right. I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's just like, really? This is what they're doing? I mean, so it's like we come off as a third world country. We come off as, well, you guys used to be the leader, but I don't know what you guys are now. And I just, from where we were this summer to where we are now, and granted, there's a new person in office, understood, needs to, needs a minute to get his, himself a little steady, even though, yes, he's been a career politician. I'm just like, in Information Man, when you joined us, we were talking about there needs to be a fast tracking of, we need vaccines in arms, period.
Right.
No ifs, ands, or buts. And True was killing me because I said, train people how to give a shot. Because I was going to say to him, if I need insulin, doesn't that person after a while learn how to give themselves insulin?
Yes.
True. Why
because they have to give themselves insulin a couple of times a day.
Right. Whatever happened, there was a rumor, not a rumor, but they were saying that they would like to create a powder form of this vaccine. Can they create, if they were, because a lot of people don't like shots and stuff like that. I get it.
Powder form of a vaccine.
Well, what I mean is if they could put it if they could break it into a powder form where it's like a pill that you could put into your body, a way that you can absorb it. What I'm thinking, where I'm going with this, gentleman, is that if they could figure out a way to better package it, if they could package it in pill form in some sense, where all you have to do is, take it out of a thing and go right into your mouth and, swallow it down and pow. I mean, that would be another way to get it to people quicker too, if they could somehow the production of it, if the production of it could be more efficient, in different forms, I guess is what I'm trying to get at.
I agree. I mean, I just think, well, we're going to see shortly, or we hope to see shortly with Johnson & Johnson, you turn 2 shots into 1.
I think 66%, I think they said.
At 60, 66 or 68%.
2 shots into 1.
Yeah. Instead of two doses, you get 1.
Yeah. Johnson & Johnson introduced.
They were going to combine both into 1 needle. All right.
Right. Johnson & Johnson introduced their vaccine that says all you need is 1 shot, and it's supposed to be between, like he said, 66 or 68% foolproof for you. They said it's enough that if you were to catch the COVID, that it wouldn't necessarily kill you if you had the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. If you were on the edge.
You had the other 2? God, jeez.
Well, what I'm saying is, and the reason why is because the Moderna and the other vaccines are supposed to be like 85%, 90%.
Yeah, they're like 85.
So they're saying that even if you go with I call it the cheaper version, right? The poor people's version.
Right.
That, well, if you catch you'll probably still get the COVID, but you just won't die from it. You see what I'm saying?
Wow.
That's what we're talking about, gentlemen.
Yeah, that really is. And I heard AstraZeneca is
AstraZeneca is the other one, right?
Yeah, will kill the infection, or it's something that Dr. Fauci was saying tonight. I've got to be able to pull that information up, but it's on the lines of, and I don't think it kills these new variants. This is something
it should be. Look, I don't understand this virus. If it's anything like the flu virus, if you get the shot, you're getting the flu shot for last year. Do I have this right? And I don't know.
It's a cumulative type shot, is what you're saying.
The flu?
Yeah. It's a cumulative. Basically, you're getting it, and then you're getting whatever new strains. Correct or
no, that's new. I've never heard of it being cumulative. But
I could be wrong.
If the flu shot is cumulative, because that
I could be wrong.
Ain't the way I think about it now.
I'm just at the point that fully disclaim that I took the shot. I took the Moderna shot 2.5 weeks ago. And my follow-up is in a couple of weeks. And for the life of me, anti-vaxxer or not, if you are or whatever the case, I mean, if something like this is going to, if you've seen almost 450 people leave us, and it's attributed to that virus, why the hell won't you take this shot? I mean, and that's regardless whoever you voted for.
Some people are religious, and they have, man. I don't know. I don't know, man.
I think that there's a lot of misunderstanding about vaccines, but then at the same time, there's a lot of history, medical history, in which some of our people, particularly in the Black community, we are worried of the medical establishment. There's a book by Henrietta, I think her name is Henrietta Washington, called Medical Apartheid. It kind of breaks down how the medical establishment has always used us as guinea pigs, going all the way back to slavery. And and I think in our collective subconscious mind and unconscious minds as a people, some of us still feel that, well, even if a black woman was involved in the vaccine, which, by the way, that's another story. She's had some greasy things to say about American blacks, but that's another issue. I saw it from my first her internet, her social media on Twitter got scrubbed of some disparaging things that she said. But
of course,
who is this?
Well, the young lady Kisme, as they want to call her, her nickname, as if we're talking about roots again. She's I think she's Caribbean, and in her social media, and I saw it firsthand before it got scrubbed, she had some sort of not flattering things to say about quote unquote American blacks. But she's the one that is
this is not news.
Was involved in the making of the vaccines, or involved in it as Fauci touted. And I think they're using that because they want to make black people feel comfortable that there's no funny business because a black woman was involved in the production of it. And I get that. But I think deep down in some of our minds as individuals, we still feel like, well, if I take the shot, and it's something that I'm concerned about too. What are the long-term effects of the shot, not the short term? Because they put this vaccine together within a very considerably quick time.
What takes years?
Yes. So then you have to ask yourself, and this is the boogeyman question. It's not, what will it do to you 3, 4, 5 years from now? Will you start having things falling off your body?
10 months.
Will your skin start acting weird? Right.
10 months.
So
yeah.
What side effects will you experience down the line if there is something boogeyman about them, how they made it so quickly? Now, that's a conspiracy type talk. I don't want to be too conspiracy, but it's something that makes me wonder.
Yeah, no,
it's a valid question. It's a valid question. No one knows. No one knows. It's just like, here, take it. It's you know what? Here's the cure. And it's just like you're standing online or you know, you can either stand online for the vaccine, or you can stand online at your local city MD, urgent care and take the COVID test, and you have, 400 people in front of you.
Right.
It's a very hard stance.
Yeah, it is.
And you just sit here. But what's going to happen from this? From them putting it together so quickly? I mean, information man, if you have taken a shot, I would suggest read the paperwork.
Ooh. Read the paperwork.
Read the paperwork.
No one ever reads the paperwork.
Read the fine print.
There's a ton of lawyerdom.
Read the fine print on what this shot does.
Right. And you
short
do
term.
know
Short term. It's only going to tell you short term.
Right.
Yeah, you should have known that before you walked in there. You ever read, like, when you get aspirin, and they've got the super tiny amp print, and you have, it's like reading that.
That's the thing that does bother me, is the fact that you don't hear a lot of the professionals that are brought before us on television and news. They don't often tell you the details in layman terms of what's in this vaccine, which I find problematic.
Of course.
They don't tell us that. And another thing that I find highly problematic, because I've talked about this on my show, is that if something was to go wrong with someone having a bad side effect from this, you can't sue the companies that made the drug.
No.
You can't sue the government, because the government is protecting them in the name of public interest.
Yes. And
that's the thing that is kind of creepy.
Yeah.
But I understand why they do it, though, at the same time.
It is definitely I'm at a loss of words, because, like I said, some of my documentation that they provided me, I'll share with you guys privately. and where it's just like, okay, this does this, does this, does this, does this. This is not approved by the FDA.
Oh my God.
And
look, man, I don't want my arms to start falling off. I don't want somebody to say, hey, where's your second eye at?
Right. And you sit here and say, hey, and you wake up and you say, hey, I've been turned into a zombie, but what else? What I mean, what's your other options? I mean, I could tell you, I took the shot. True. I told you that day that I took the shot. I was like, yo, I took it. Arm soreness, yeah. Lethargic, yes. Moderna naps, yes.
What's the Moderna nap?
You just hanging out, and next thing you know.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
But it's just one of those things where you're like, okay, well, what are my options?
Right.
Take
it or don't.
Hi. Well, let me ask a sensitive question here. It started. I imagine you brothers are fathers like myself. I have a daughter.
Yes.
What about the kids? Like there's a thing on this. I went over an article today.
Mm-hmm.
Did you realize that there's this whole thing about getting our kids back into school?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that's interesting is that that private schools have been continuing to have schools while public schools have been shut down. And there's people making the argument that, wait a minute, if private schools can continue schooling, why is it that public schools are shut down? However, we do know that there's a disparity between the resources that private schools have versus the resources that public schools have. And then there's this whole notion that, schools are safe for the kids because the community is where it's most dangerous. And then I have to ask this question. Where do our kids come from? They don't come from Mars or the moon. They come from the community. So if they're in the community and someone in the family or someone they come across has the condition, then they can actually bring it to school, even though school is a more controlled environment where they can move the desk around, maybe rotate the kids. Some days you go to school, some days you don't. What is your thoughts about that?
True. You want to go first because I got a plethora of.
No, you take this one.
Well, my perspective on it is, so I have two kids that were in private. One that's in private now.
Okay.
One was in, a private college. One is in private school. He's in middle school, or what we used to call as junior high. I don't know why they don't call it junior high anymore, but so school, as you know, stopped for a minute. It paused, but then it restarted because these private schools have the resources to go and get a third-party independent consultant to come in here and say, okay, we're going to situate the desk 8 feet apart. All rooms are going to stay open. All windows are going to stay open. All doors are going to stay open. We're going to institute, of course, masks were mandatory, but we're going to do mask breaks. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. And they are very transparent when someone becomes, infected. There's an email, there's a phone call, there's an SMS message going out, letting you know who was affected, what was happened. Here's what we've done. We're still doing the deep cleaning and all this other type of stuff like that. The only issue I had was at the close of the Christmas break. And I know a lot of people don't like to say Christmas, but the Christmas break, where once again the debate was over, can I go and travel and see my family members? Can I go and travel and do this? Well, it's only supposed to be less than 10 people in a home. I mean, 10 people at that specific event, which should have been your independent, just your intermediate family, immediate family, excuse me. That wasn't the case. So that was the only time that I will say that I kept my son out. I kept him out additionally because I wasn't sure if other people were following the guidelines. Now,
at a family event.
Because you say, oh, well, the magic number is 10 and it's an immediate family. These are people that, that's your own personal bubble.
Right.
There's a big difference than, when Big Mama and Day Day and the rest of them come and visit.
But if you have 3 families, you're going to be over 10 people.
Right, right.
You know what I mean?
But the so-called number was 10 people.
Yeah.
The so-called number was 10 people. So what I'm saying here,
the governor flew off to his giant Italian family.
Right. But what I'm saying here is how I see it is it's a problem. It's a huge problem. Private is always going to do what they want to do because they're using the public guidelines as just guidelines. So like with us, New York City Department of Ed says, hey, we're closing schools. Private schools say, hey, we could follow that model, or we could use that as a template, or we can decide to be open. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds.
Yeah, but they're never open. The private schools are always the ones that close.
Yeah, but we're talking in the sense of with COVID. With COVID, it's been a totally different situation where you've got. I mean, we've seen the families, the moms and the dads at home at remote school, where these private schools were quicker to open up because they're funded. They're not looking for these public dollars. They got private dollars. You got to think about it. Each of those children that are walking around that school, that's a dollar sign on top of their head.
Yeah, no, I know that. I mean, remember, I think the state just told New York that they have to get some of the money back for these kids who aren't going to school.
Yeah, they probably. I mean, but like I said, it's different from public to private. Public to private is I look at it as it's like day versus night, right. And it's the same discussion as in big box store versus small business owner. It's like, hey, we want to have our school open. Okay, you want to have your school open, but are you safe? Are you not safe?
Right.
It's just private school is just a totally different world.
Right. And let me say, I don't begrudge anyone, any parent who has the funds and the ability to send their kids to private school and get the advantage of their kids still being able to get their education while this pandemic is going on. Unfortunately, there's a lot of kids out there who are not able to go to private school, and a lot of them look like all 3 of us on this panel tonight.
Yep.
And they're going to be suffering for it, not to mention the fact that we have kids out there who have different disabilities like autism and stuff of that nature.
Yep.
And they really are going to be effed up because
totally.
Disabilities like that, you need the classroom instruction.
Yeah. I'll tell you this much. Even with private school, when COVID first hit, so my son went from 6 hours and 20 minutes of instruction. Now, let's also factor in that there's gym, physical education, there's lunch, there's homeroom. So take that minus that. So let's just say you got 5.5 hours of home instruction. I mean, of structured learning. When COVID hit, it became 2 30-minute classes a day. So he went from 5.5 to 1 hour a day. And, which is rightfully so, where you say, how far are our kids going to be behind? I mean, they're already behind when you look versus other countries, but this pandemic alone is pushing them further and further behind.
But I don't think that's true for everybody. I think, excuse me, I think the people who are going to suffer through this, the worst of it, it's going to slide on an economic basis. I think these kids who go to private schools and children of the wealthy are going to weather this storm a lot easier than these project kids and these low income kids and these kids who don't have Wi-Fi. You know, some kids were having to use Chipotle, I think was the article I saw. And then they shut down the Chipotles because not shut down, but you couldn't go inside. And now the kids of that article that I'm thinking about that happened before the pandemic, they can't go back to that place for Wi-Fi, right? So, I mean, it shouldn't be this hard to learn, right? They make it really hard just to do the bare minimum. And for other groups, they take away all the obstacles. So
I still think most of the conversations that we talked about it's a class issue.
Yeah.
It's a class issue because I'm telling you, so my wife, she's assistant principal. And she was driving to various students' homes with laptops and broadband cards for their parents, for the kids that didn't have. And you think of today, back, it was 2020, but 2020, 2021, you're like, what do you mean you don't have an internet connection? And that is the case.
Yeah.
Or you're sitting there trying to walk the parent through logging into Zoom or Google Meets, and they're doing it on the parent's phone. They're doing it on the parent's phone, and it's like, you just look, and it's just like, it is two Americas.
Yeah.
Sad commentary. Excuse me, a sad commentary.
It really is. It really is. I mean, it just makes you think, and I just go back to, and for Information Man, for True, I go back to, what are some of these? What really? Once again, what are these politicians doing? Because they're getting treated like fat cats. They get briefed and they sell their stock.
Yeah,
they're getting briefed. They sell their stock. They're cutting deals.
I mean, the constituency is the last of their worries.
They're granting or getting PPP deals,
exactly,
the PPP loans that you don't have to pay back. When you sit here and I think I sent it out to our group chat. True, it was like Tom Brady got $1 million PPP loan for his TB12 company.
Yeah,
and you're like, huh? It's like, dude, you signed like.
Well, this is where the money goes, right?
$150 million worth of contracts.
Yeah.
Your wife is worth what, like $500 million?
Yeah.
I just go back. I circle back to all of that, and you see what's wrong. And it's like, because I know a lot of people like to say, oh, they like to complain and bitch and moan about all of this other stuff. And you're like, yo, this isn't right.
It isn't.
It isn't right. And your elected official. And I've said this on many occasions on 1240 AM WGBB. Vote that person out. Straight up.
Never vote these people out. Why don't they ever vote? Everyone likes their congressman and senator, but everyone thinks everyone else's congressman and senator is an idiot. So why don't they vote them back? Why did they send Mitch McConnell back to Congress? Why would they do that? Do they want war in the country? You know what I mean? Why did they think he was good?
You're talking about someone with a
spirited about it.
You're talking about someone with a 23% positivity rate. I mean, popularity. If you're looking at
but he got reelected.
And he's gotten reelected like 10 times.
Yeah.
And he's in it for judges, and he's in it for himself, and he's in it for his party. And I hate to say it, he's done a damn good job.
7-2 on the Supreme Court.
Right.
So
6-3.
6-3. I thought it was 7-2.
Yeah. No, you got 3. But it's like I look at this type of stuff and I'm like, and you can sit here and say the system is rigged.
Yep, I would say that.
The system is rigged.
Yep.
And hence, this is how you are given a $600 check and you're told, okay, live on this for the next 9.5 months because I just shut down your business.
It's also how you believe that the election is stolen and you go to Washington because you know that there's something wrong too, right? So everybody believes that there's something wrong and everybody's being told that the problem is the other guy. And it eventually spilled over, right?
Well, that was a whole lot of crazy that spilled over.
Wrong is my point here.
That was a whole lot of crazy that spilled over.
Yeah, but my point is they've been told the same version of these lies on their end as well, right? Everybody's being told a different thing. Is my point.
No, you're right. You're right. Well, I think the last topic I had was where is it? Last piece I had was why is Biden and the Dems hobnobbing with the GOP with stimulus packages when they can ram it right through like McConnell did so with the judges? Why are we doing this dance?
Because the Democrats are so caught up in the olive branch of this bipartisan ideology that we want to work with the Republicans and show them a good faith effort when the Republicans don't do the same. Even when Obama was in office, he was doing the same thing, kept capitulating to them. And that's why the Democrats always tend to lose. It's like the old saying, the nice guy always finishes last.
Right. I agree. It's like, to me, I don't want to say sickening, but it's to a point where you're just like, come on. What are we waiting for?
Yeah, I mean, at least try to show that you tried to work with them.
Okay.
Even as the last 8 years, they were complete. Well, the last 12 years, they've been just complete tools about it. But luckily, you know how they are. You don't have to keep that olive branch out that long. You can yank it back fairly quick and say, "Well, we tried, but you know what? You know who we're dealing with here." But yeah, the olive branch thing was just a ploy. I think it was a ploy for control.
I mean, okay, so it's a ploy for control. They don't have the numbers.
Exactly.
You've got it. I'm not saying jam it through, but
hey, we have this wonderful deal for you guys for a third of what you wanted. Hey, aren't we great? Right? It's that kind of nonsense.
I mean, so I'm just at that point of, is it a specific day? Is it a specific? Are you sitting on this until, because I know today or yesterday he was meeting with the 10 Republican senators and they were coming back with a portion of what it was and everything else like that. But it does get to a point after a while, you're like, okay, you got to pull the trigger.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, people are hurting.
Yeah.
People
have been hurting for a while now.
But I can only speak from the New York perspective because that's where I've been mainly through this. The food lines, the pantries, the churches, the all of that stuff. Like they've turned the Nassau Coliseum. Since there's no events happening at the Nassau Coliseum, where I live, they basically turned it into drive-through. You can come, you can pick up, food. You can pick up anything, certain items that are being donated.
Right.
But that's across America. So how long are you going to sit on your hands and say, "Whoa, we're waiting, and we want to really work together, and we really want to do this"? I mean, come on. At some point,
but it's only been 10 days.
Say it again.
It's only been 10 days.
Right. So say that to the starving person.
No, but he gets to say, "Hey, how fast can I write a check? It's only been 10 days," and he'd be fairly right about it.
As fast as you can write those executive orders,
exactly,
to cover, every other special interest that has been, taken care of. Because, I mean, I hate to say it, people are just out there, and what's going to happen behind this. Well, what has been happening, because you get people, and people are hungry, and people become desperate. The next thing you know what's coming right behind that? Crime.
Yeah.
And then what?
More cops, as they'll be telling you the solution is. We need more police.
We need more police.
And you'll be like, "We don't need more police. We need better policing." And then they'll call you soft on crime. It'll be the 70s all over again. That's where we're headed. The 70s all over again.
Information man, what do you think about that?
I think it's becoming a reality. I think we've already been in a police state, whether we believe it or not. I mean, they're already talking about the fact that they may need to fortify Washington, D.C. There was a time when you could go to Washington, D.C. And go to the Capitol and see how the government is run and meet your Congress people and all of that. Now, since this incident, they're probably going to have to beef up the security and make it more sterile of an environment for you to go see how your government works and things of that nature. Let me say this, bring this point into reality too here. One of the things that those people did that was stupid is that they also exposed our country to other countries to see how easy it is to get into the Capitol. They've allowed our enemies to say, "Hey, it's really that easy."
Just like that.
People were jihadists or people who had real training in this type of stuff. We may be talking about a Capitol that's blown to smithereens right now.
Yes. Agreed. So that, I guess that's the answer for when someone says move on. So when someone says move on, and I don't know, when we come back and we look at the root cause of how could this have happened? Because I don't want to speak ill of an event that could potentially happen in the future. But you come back and this is the root cause of it. Because you saw how quickly and easily it was able to penetrate it. That's just my take on it. It's this whole thing is problematic.
Well, another reason why it's problematic in DC is because DC doesn't have statehood, and the people that live there have been trying to get statehood for a long time. The mayor Bowser, do you realize that she had to call Virginia,
yes,
skirts into Maryland to get the National Guard in? She
had to call Virginia and Maryland.
Right. And this is and for those people who think, well, Trump didn't do nothing wrong, guess what? She couldn't call Trump. She couldn't call Trump. She wasn't able to make contact with him.
No.
So the thing is, she had to go outside of a place that's a district that should really be a state for people who live there, who want it to be a state. She had to go outside of it to get resources. Now, check this out. Michael Moore was talking about this. They have around 1,000 or whatever so Capitol Police, but on this day in question, there was about 500, according to reports. And numbers could be wrong. You never know. but something was not right because there wasn't as many cops there as they would normally have by all accounts of people that were there that said that. So that makes you wonder, what was going on? I don't want to get too deep into conspiracy, but there's something wrong. And you have a mayor in Miss Bowser who actually weeks before this whole thing happened, she was saying we need to beef up security. These people are coming to town because
that's what's crazy.
Remember
that's
when
what's crazy about it.
First time they tore the town up the first time, and then you had that leader of the Proud Boys who went in, who got arrested when he was in town that day because he had already burned up some Black Lives Matter banners at a few churches.
Yeah, that's. I mean, there's so I kind of feel like the stimulus issue bleeds into the other items,
right?
The statehood for Puerto Rico and for DC,
right?
Because a lot of people say that what, the minute you do that, that's 4 more Democratic senators. The courts, if you got 13 circuit courts and you only have 9 Supreme Court justices, go 1 for 1. I just feel like they're gun shy. They're just totally gun shy on what they, and this is the Democrats, on what they should be doing. And you can sit here, you can preach whatever you want to preach, because if the numbers favored the GOP, they would be doing what we've seen them do.
Right.
Anytime they had control of the Senate. You think about it. McConnell, with his control over the Senate, probably the most powerful man in basically the United States when he had control over that Senate. So you can sit here and you can say, you know what, boom, we're going to do the olive branch. We're going to reach out. We're going to do this. We're going to do that.
I don't think it was only 12 days in. It was one meeting. I think you guys are reading way too much into it. You have to have a meeting like that. Especially this early in.
But when you have so much work to do, you want an olive branch? Do that on infrastructure.
That meeting is part of the work you have to do. The olive branch is part of the work you have to do.
Do that on infrastructure. I mean, they can work together on infrastructure, right?
Well, this is about working. It's about a meeting.
Well,
maybe they will work together because you need bipartisanship. But this is just a meeting that you take as you begin your quote unquote reign as president.
Mm-hmm.
Right. If you would have taken the same meeting in 4 months, people would have lost their crap about how long it took for him to take it. And I'm not a fan of Biden. I'm defending him here. You got to take this meeting.
Well, we had 8 years of Obama, and the Republicans didn't want to work with 8 years of Obama.
Right.
We got 4 years of Donald Trump, in which the Republicans still didn't want to work with the Democrats for those 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
If I was a betting man, if when I look at it from that point of view, I would say the hell with the Republicans. When I get power, I'm going to show you what power is, just like you did it to me.
Yeah.
Because the Democrats have had 8 years.
So you're doing tit for tat government. Okay.
Well,
so I mean, it's
the
just
always
going to
been
lead us to violence and breaks. So again, you need these kind of meetings to tamp that out, because out here in the hinterlands where we the people are at each other's throats, and that's the last thing you want to have more of, is the citizenry at each other's throats. So you have to send this message of, hey, we're all good and we're all Americans and we're all chilling, and maybe we can work on something, and our disagreements are not as big as X, Y, or Z and all that other good stuff that they say.
But would you agree
have to
with
take
me
the
or
meeting,
disagree with me?
and you can't openly be like, fuck y'all motherfuckers, you fucked us over for the, You can't be like that. Otherwise, why have a meeting in the first place?
What you're saying is true, but would you agree or disagree with me that the Democrats have always been the ones leaning to work with the Republicans, whether they're in control or the Republicans are in control? And that
I agree with that statement.
And when Republicans are in control, they don't give a damn. They push
I agree
through
with that
whatever
statement.
they want to push through.
Damn. Even if that's the case, you can't do the same thing. Right.
Well, okay, brother. But then me ask
why? But you have to get something for your constituents.
Okay.
But you can't be like I said, fuck y'all, I'm gonna do whatever I want.
Okay, but
you won't always be in charge.
Okay, but wait a minute though, brother. Now let me ask you this. I get what you're saying, but that's what the Republicans have been doing.
I know that they did, but an eye for an eye.
So why should the Democrats be any different when the Democrats have been trying that for how many years and they still get slapped in their face? It's like a guy who likes a girl and he's like, "Hey, I want to take you to the dance." And she says, "Nah, get out of my face. I don't want to go out with you. You're ugly." That's how the Republicans treat the Democrats, like the girl that they don't want to go to the prom date with.
Look, I'm not disagreeing with any of that. All I'm saying is how you respond to this is it won't be helpful if you do the same thing they did, because then you can just go. But you have to get something. Like I said, you have to get something for your constituents. But if you just go over there and, I mean, do as much as you can. You've got, the House. Do you have the Congress? You have the Congress. You have the Senate, and you have the presidency. So do as much as you can with it. I think the reason why he's not doing a lot now has to do a lot of executive orders, because he's got no cabinet essentially. And they just made Buttigieg the
transportation
secretary today.
Right. And
so
and why
they're doing like 2 guys a day.
Cabinet. He doesn't have a cabinet in place because Donald Trump played games.
Yeah, well, we all know that, but that's the point. Everything leads into something else. The point is that he's got to write all these executive orders because, one, he doesn't have a cabinet. 2, he has to take these meetings because he's not really doing any real major business, but he still has to take meetings, right? You still have to propose stuff, even though you don't have men like in the, how many cabinet positions are there? 16, right? In these positions or so, 14, to essentially run it proxy for you, to come up with, we've decided to do this, Mr. President. What do you think about it? Yeah, do that and add this, or nah, don't do that at all. So he's got to do all this crap himself, and we know that Donald Trump didn't help him out. Yeah, we know that. But at the end of the day, you have to govern like a big kid, because everybody was crying about the way the last guy governed like a child. And like these, this is part of it.
I just think there's so many initiatives that need to be done. The last guy never did infrastructure. He talked about it for 4 years.
This guy before that, or the guy before that.
He did do infrastructure. It was the wall.
It was the wall. Excuse me. Excuse me. You're right. I call a spade a spade. But what I'm saying, true, is the fact that, yes, you want the olive branch. Yes, you want to work together. But there's a lot of initiatives that you can work on. If they don't want to work with you,
an olive branch.
Excuse me?
I just said you have to take the meeting. I didn't say anything about an olive branch. And I said you should do all this stuff now, and quite frankly, to hell with them, because what you said was right. They did not helpful. They were obstructionists and all that. But you still should take that meeting while you do exactly what your constituents want.
I agree with you. I'm not saying they shouldn't take the meeting.
Not these signing statements. These what are they called?
Executive orders.
These executive orders. You got to make sure that they're laws, or you're a failure, right? So I get that you're so out the gate because you don't have a full cabinet, and Donald Trump hindered you a bit. But having said that, you better do something by July 4th, or people will want to storm the gates again.
That's true. That's true. I think we beat the hell out of these topics tonight. I had a great time. I want to thank both of you for taking the time out. I do want to ask each of you, True, how often, what's going to be the time frame that you're going to be doing your podcast or your vodcast?
I'm so off my schedule. I don't even know. It'll be soon though. I'm gonna get back to cooking and gaming, and
sounds good.
All right,
where it goes.
So, but for our listeners and our viewers because this is going to get turned into an audio podcast, what's the best way that they can get in contact with you? How can they find the work that you're going to do?
Well, I've got a YouTube channel called Truest Armor. I've got a Instagram feed called Truest Armor, and I'm mostly on your pod. So catch me when you catch me. I got a Twitch channel that's inactive, but I'll be there this summer too. I'm slow but steady.
Okay.
Something on here wrong. Thank you, because I was trying to click into his channel again.
Yeah, definitely
follow his YouTube channel, but I'll find his page.
Well, yeah, we'll connect. Don't worry, we'll connect through Twitter or whatever else like that. Information Man, I know we can find you on Haps, but do you do anything exclusively through YouTube? Do you do stuff exclusively through Periscope? Where can we find you?
Well, you can mainly find me on YouTube, same name, Information Man Show. You can find me on there. I usually go live on weekends on there. And then I also have a podcast channel, second channel called Information Man Speaks Podcast. And I'm in a process, or not in the process, I've been going live on there almost every other night, going live. And I'll be broadcasting through Haps. Now that I've discovered this platform, I'll be broadcasting through this quite a bit as well on my first channel. Then my podcast is also an audio podcast, so I'm on Google, SoundCloud, Spotify, all of those good platforms, and I'm on Twitter at Clinton06, and you'll see Information Man Show on there as well. And I do broadcast when I go live on both my channels. I go live on Periscope as well. What I'll more than likely do with this platform is I'll probably be blasting live through this platform into those other few platforms that I use. So I'll be broadcasting using this platform as well as much as possible. And
yeah, I got to tell you, big shout out to Peter Bittner. He's the head of community, and it's a great person to know. Peter does a daily show where, not the daily show, but he does a daily vodcast where he gets on, he talks with all of us, lets us know, Peter and Pablo, they jump on, they tell us the latest, the bug fixes, the things that they're seeing, and it also gives us an avenue for us to speak with them, to say, hey, this is what's working for me. This is not what's working for me. Can you look at XYZ? So the thing I like about this community is very open, and from collaborating together and or speaking with the development team. I don't know anyone else, and I've been in IT for about 25 years, that you can speak with someone on a platform and fixes are being done. So it says a lot about their team and the product that they're trying to put out. People are people, and it's like there's no product that's going to be perfect. There's no technology that's going to be perfect. Mm-hmm. So
let me say that I think this is an excellent product. I found out about this platform through Irene Smith, and she's on here. She's a content creator on YouTube, and she gives you tips on how to be a better YouTuber, how to use these different tools and podcasting. And so she does like one of those gadget type shows where she gives you all the bells and whistles about using platforms and social media. She is fantastic. Peter might one of the team members of he may be familiar with her. She's on here
probably,
and she's kind of well known within YouTube and what she does over there. So I love it already. I mean, today was the first time that I actually really utilized it and tried to get myself comfortable with how it works, and it was very user friendly. And I love the fact that you can connect it into all your different social medias and broadcasts and various places. I'm definitely going to let people know. I might even do a video on my channel about this platform and let people know more about this platform.
Yeah, that's kind of where we are. Like I said, Information Man, you're gonna meet a lot of good people on here. A lot of interesting people, and not interesting in a bad way either. You know, a lot of interesting
in a bad way.
Yeah, you know, I mean, we're all different, and let's see, but a lot of people on here are going to be helpful, and I'm not sure if you know that. Well, I think it might be over. So for the next time, what they're doing is this thing called a Haps Challenge, where you jump on, you stream. You got to do like 250 live views a session, but I think it just, you might have missed the window. But you do 8 sessions, 250 views. Anything longer than 10 minutes, and there's $50, you know that you'll receive. So the good thing about this company and this platform, they're incentivizing people that are we're kind of like their influencers, and they're evangelists going out and talking about the product. So I like the product, like I said, and I've said before in other group sessions, I was a StreamYard person, because like I was a StreamYard person, and I was just like, okay, and I tried StreamYard maybe about 4 or 5 times, and when this product came up, I was gone because I was like, yo, this can do exactly. This can do exactly what that other product can do, and then some.
Right, and like you said earlier, it's in the beta stage, which means they're going to be making improvements over a period of time.
Yes,
I know what you mean. I use StreamYards, but I also, when I'm broadcasting through right now, is a broadcasting software that I use. It's not OBS. I use vMix. Because it allows me, like you see, I got the little banner on here. It allows me to put special effects and banners up.
Right.
Because I'm a YouTuber, I'm really trying to push the level and quality of my content. So I'll use vMix, and I can attach vMix in here, which I can bring in my special effects and other effects. But I have to say that today was a great experience for me because I found out I found through trial how fun and innovative this platform is. So I definitely am going to have to tell people that follow me about it.
I mean,
here.
Dude, you chimed in and you were like, hey, I want to jump on this conversation. I was like, all right.
Well, let me say this too. I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to come up and talk to be a part of the discussion, because you allowed me to be able to potentially network with some of the brothers that were on this panel and to get to know you a little bit, because I'm new in this particular community. And so it was a great way, I thought, to introduce myself. And I appreciate that, letting me come up.
Oh man, come on.
No, some people can be snobby. Some people can say, nah, man, who are you? You never know what people's attitudes are. So,
Right. I mean, it's like I said, once you learn the platform, and someone says, "Hey, I want to jump on," and I'm for a second I was like, "Is he a troll? Hold on, let me click, and I was like, "Nah, he's not a troll." Okay, boom, I can go in, But
now you do have the ability on. Do you have the ability on here to block out trolls?
Yes, you do.
What do you do? Do you kind of tap their
yeah, you just something? Like if someone comments sideways, you click on their name and you can choose block. You can block the person.
Okay, just like what we
Yep. So if you're like if you click on Banner Man, you can click on where he says "Thank you, Ted Hicks and everyone." Click on it. Boom. You see mute user, or you see in red.
Yeah, ban him.
And then you report that person.
Okay.
You report that person. It's like, because I hear a lot about people talking about, oh, this person's a troll and that person is a troll, and you see some people talking sideways about stuff, and you're like, huh, what the hell is going on here? But anyway, you look at it. I'm glad you chose this. What's the name? This stream. You could have chose any stream, but you chose our stream where we get on and we chat and we talk. And True and I have been friends for 40 years.
Wow.
So that's to show you how real it is.
No, you guys had a dynamic conversation. And True, I could tell True, he is a man of experience, which fits his name, Renaissance man. I could tell the way he speaks. He has wisdom. And I just like the conversation. And let me tell you something too. I enjoyed the conversation, even if we disagree here and there. But the fact of the matter is, we were still respectful to each other. On YouTube, I'm kind of well known in the YouTube and Black YouTube. And a lot of times in YouTube, they have these panels, and it could be toxic. People are arguing, cussing at each other, and carrying on.
Yeah,
and I have refrained myself from getting on a lot of these kind of toxic panels around discussions that lead to no solutions or any damn thing. So I really appreciate that we could have this kind of conversation, even if we disagree here and there, and not be completely disrespectful to each other.
Definitely. And Peter just chimed in to say, welcome, Information Man, and great to see you back here, True Armor. I mean, it's like, it's like I said, it's a great platform. So we just want to see good things for it. And like I said, you're going to get to know a lot of different people. And it's just, just having conversation. Like you said, you're not going to agree with everyone.
Right.
There's going to be certain times where you're just going to be like, you know what, screw you. but I mean, that's a conversation. Hell, you're in America. That's what we're all about. It's all about a debate.
Exactly.
So
exchange of ideas.
That's it. So definitely follow Information Man and follow my man True Armor. They're great follows, and I'm sure there's future spirited debates to come.
Right. Most of my content will be political, social, cultural issues. Some issues that can be, hard hitting.
And you were even talking a little sports. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I played. I was an athlete growing up myself, but no, I just appreciate the conversation. It was positive, and just real positive energy around here.
Yeah, and it's good. It's good.
And seeing the other people that are on here, I'm gonna be checking it out. I'm just glad that I finally decided to get my profile together and really lunch everything. And I've got good stuff coming.
That's good.
I have guests on that I interview on my first channel, and so I got good stuff coming down on the pipeline for.
So one question I want to ask you before you go is, and this is a question I'm gonna put for Peter sometimes. I'm like, I know it's about adoption, and I know it's about user experience and everything else like that, but like I have like a lot of guests, and let's say some of the guests are older, so when I would interview them before, it would either be by phone or every once in a while it would be by Zoom. I I'm just wondering the easiest way to get like a guest on here that might not want to create an account. That's the only thing, you know.
Is there any kind of way they can make it possible where if you give someone a link,
he said they're working on it,
they can get into your show without actually having an account? Because I got to be honest here, that's a very important aspect, because you're going to do shows and you want to bring guests on, but not every guest necessarily wants to have an account or has an account. So if that's what they're working on, that's going to be fantastic, because if I'm bringing guests on here, I want especially if I'm going to put a panel together, you want the ease and the ability to just send people a link and they can just come right on in.
Yeah.
And Peter just said they're working on it.
Oh, that's fantastic, Peter.
They're working on it. You know, and because it's stuff like that where we can bring them on, and because, you know, like I used to do when I used to do a pod, you would just have people coming in and out, dipping in and out. So like I used to do a 60-minute pod and I would have 3 guests. You know, so it was like 15, 30, and 45.
Right.
You know, so it's like just an easy way. And I remember like the Blog Talk days. I don't know if you use Blog Talk Radio. I used to use it.
I did some Blog Talk Radio with a friend of mine who had a channel, and I get exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, you know, you have them come in and out, and it was just like, because some of these people need low tech.
Right. Well, I'm kind of lucky because I'm using, you probably heard of this tech. I'm using a Rodecaster Pro, Rodecaster mic here.
Yes.
The great thing about the Rodecaster is you can literally bring people in through the phone connected to the Rodecaster into the podcast, and it sounds just like they're on the panel.
That's nice.
So that's what I'm using as an alternative if I have to bring a person in just through their voice, or sometimes what I do on my program is I may have a call-in show.
Okay.
So people call in and I bring them into the system. So I'm looking forward to seeing how I can utilize this community, this platform to really bring people over that I know to this platform that would love it, and to provide some really interesting and sometimes provocative discussions and subject matters. So it's going to be interesting.
No, it's great. That's great. I don't know, kind of like what Danny was saying earlier. He's going to do a basketball show. I know True likes to talk politics and cooking. I've been thinking about doing a straight up tech show.
Oh, you do well with that.
Strictly a tech show, you know, 15, 20 minutes. He said Peter says you should check out the new iOS app too, just released a couple of hours ago. Oh, okay. That's cool, because I had used, like I said, I used it last night. But yeah, I'm thinking like a 20-minute CNET style type show where you can jump in, talk about 2 or 3 products, do a quick deep dive, and boom, you're gone.
Now, let me ask you a question. I noticed that his message came on your screen. Are you making the message go on the screen, or is it just go on there automatically? Like you?
No. When you're in your broadcaster, you're going to click on it, a message, and then there'll be an option. Like if you go to one of his messages, click on his message, and you're going to see options for reply, present on screen is what you're seeing.
That's sort of like how Yard streams, where they have it where you can click and then bring the messages on the screen. I like that. I was wondering if that's what you were doing. I like that, because I like being able to talk to my audience and really see what they're writing that much quicker. Very interesting.
Yeah. So that's kind of what we're working with. I want to thank everyone. So from Information Man, the True Armor, to Danny Thompson, the great Danny Thompson, Mike Patton, Bannerman, Peter Bittner, and everyone else who joined in for the experience. Want to thank you guys for everything, and we're a wrap. I'll see you guys.
Thank
We're
you.
out.
Thank you.